Have you ever wondered how a nation of over 17,000 islands, brimming with diverse cultures and languages, united under one flag to claim its independence? Welcome to the intriguing history of Indonesia's journey towards sovereignty. The tale begins in the early 20th century, when the Dutch colonial rule was well established in Indonesia, then known as the Dutch East Indies. From the late 19th century, the Dutch had implemented a policy of forced cultivation called cultuurstelsel, exploiting the abundant natural resources and indigenous labor. However, by the early 20th century, the winds of change began to blow. A new era dawned in 1908 with the establishment of Budi Utomo, considered the first native political society. It sparked the flame of nationalism among the Indonesian people. Various other organizations like the Sarekat Islam, the Communist Party of Indonesia, and the Nationalist Party of Indonesia gradually emerged, adding fuel to the fire of the independence movement. The turning point came with the onset of the Second World War. In 1942, the Japanese forces invaded and occupied the Dutch East Indies, promising independence for Indonesia. They encouraged nationalist sentiments, even allowing the use of the Indonesian language in place of Dutch. However, the promise of independence turned out to be a mirage. The Japanese replaced the Dutch as the new colonial masters, exploiting the resources and labor for their war efforts. Despite this, their occupation had a significant impact. They had awakened a strong sense of nationalism and unity among the diverse Indonesian populace. With the end of the Second World War in 1945, the Japanese surrendered, creating a power vacuum. Seizing this opportunity, on the 17th of August 1945, 2 days after the Japanese surrender, the Indonesian leaders, Sukarno and Hatta, proclaimed Indonesia's independence. However, the Dutch were unwilling to relinquish their lucrative colony. What followed was a bitter 4-year struggle, known as the Indonesian National Revolution. Despite facing a technologically superior enemy, the Indonesians, united by their shared desire for freedom, fought with unwavering determination. Finally, under international pressure, particularly from the United Nations, the Dutch recognized Indonesia's sovereignty on the 27th of December 1949. Thus, after a long and arduous journey, Indonesia emerged as a free nation. To summarize, the path to Indonesia's independence was paved with struggle and sacrifice. It began with the rise of nationalist movements in the early 20th century, gained momentum during the Japanese occupation in the Second World War, and culminated in the Indonesian National Revolution. The unity and resilience of the Indonesian people played a crucial role in their journey towards independence. This incredible tale of Indonesia's journey to independence serves as a reminder of the power of unity and diversity, and the indomitable spirit of a people determined to shape their own destiny. It is a testament to the fact that the path to freedom is often long and winding, but with perseverance and unity, even the most formidable obstacles can be overcome.
Have you ever pondered on what transpired in Indonesia after it gained independence? A story filled with triumphs, tribulations, and transformations. It's a captivating tale that shapes the Indonesia we know today. On August 17, 1945, Indonesia declared its independence from Dutch colonial rule. The charismatic leader, Sukarno, became the first president of the newly independent nation. But gaining independence was merely the first step in a long journey. In the early years, Indonesia grappled with a host of challenges. The new nation was a patchwork of diverse ethnic, linguistic, and religious groups. Sukarno's guiding principle, known as Pancasila, sought to forge unity from this diversity. However, the task was far from simple. The 1950s saw the birth of the Indonesian constitution and the move towards guided democracy. Yet, political instability was rife, with regional rebellions and power struggles threatening the young nation's unity. Despite these challenges, Sukarno's charismatic leadership held the country together. Then came the 1960s, a tumultuous decade marked by the transition of power from Sukarno to Suharto. It was a period of profound change, the repercussions of which are still felt today. The attempted coup in 1965, followed by anti-communist purges, led to a shift in Indonesia's political landscape. Suharto's New Order regime focused on economic development and political stability, albeit at the cost of civil liberties and human rights. The Asian financial crisis in the late 1990s spelled the end of Suharto's reign, ushering in the era of Reformasi. This period marked a significant shift towards democracy, decentralization, and greater respect for human rights. Despite numerous obstacles, Indonesia persevered, showing resilience and determination. In the 21st century, Indonesia has emerged as a democratic nation with a thriving economy. The journey has been far from smooth, with challenges such as corruption, religious tension, and environmental issues. Yet, Indonesia continues to strive, embodying the spirit of its motto, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, or unity in diversity. In conclusion, Indonesia's post-independence journey is a tale of resilience, transformation, and progress. From the Declaration of Independence in 1945, through the tumultuous transitions of power, to the vibrant democratic nation we see today, Indonesia's story is a testament to the power of unity and diversity. This journey has seen the birth of a constitution, the transition from guided democracy to reformasi, and the emergence of a democratic nation. It has witnessed the charismatic leadership of Sukarno, the transformative reign of Suharto, and the challenges and triumphs of a diverse nation striving for unity and progress. So the next time you ponder on Indonesia, remember the journey it has undertaken. A journey from a newly independent nation to a thriving democracy. A journey that is as diverse and vibrant as Indonesia itself.
The early seeds of Indonesian nationalism were planted at the dawn of the 20th century, with movements advocating for independence beginning to stir. These movements, however, were not powerful enough to shake the Dutch colonial rule that had been established over the Indonesian archipelago for centuries. Then, the winds of change started to blow during the Second World War. The Japanese occupation of the Dutch East Indies, as Indonesia was known then, played a crucial role in fostering nationalist sentiment. The Japanese, in their strategic play for power, encouraged Indonesian nationalism. Their intention was not to foster independence but to manipulate it for their own benefit. However, this inadvertently provided a platform for the Indonesians to rally together and strengthen their resolve for independence. With the surrender of Japan in 1945, a period of uncertainty dawned. It was a time of upheaval, but it was also a time of opportunity for the Republicans in Indonesia. The Japanese vacuum of power provided the perfect stage for the Indonesian nationalists to step into the spotlight and declare their independence. This declaration was not the end, but rather the beginning of a new struggle. The Indonesian National Revolution, also known as the Indonesian War of Independence, was a 4-year armed conflict and diplomatic struggle between Indonesia and the Dutch Empire. The revolution saw sporadic armed conflict, internal political upheavals, and international diplomatic interventions. Despite the challenges, the Indonesians held firm. Their determination was unwavering, their cause just. The revolution ultimately resulted in the transfer of sovereignty to Indonesia, marking the end of Dutch colonial rule in the Dutch East Indies, except for New Guinea. In summary, the preparation for the independence of the Republic of Indonesia was a long and arduous journey. It began with the early seeds of nationalism in the 20th century, was fostered by the Japanese occupation during World War II, and culminated in the Indonesian National Revolution. The revolution, fraught with conflict and political upheaval, ultimately led to the transfer of sovereignty to Indonesia. The journey to independence was more than just a political movement. It was a testament to the resilience, determination, and unyielding spirit of the Indonesian people. It serves as a reminder that the path to freedom is often rocky, but the destination is always worth the struggle.
Have you ever pondered the price of freedom? What if I told you there was a nation that battled for 4 grueling years just to secure their independence? That nation is Indonesia, and today we delve into the turbulent events of the Indonesian National Revolution, a crucial period that shaped the destiny of this archipelago. The story begins in 1945, with the world still reeling from the devastation of the Second World War. The Japanese, who had occupied the Dutch East Indies, now Indonesia, during the war surrendered, leaving a power vacuum. This vacuum fostered nationalist sentiment among the Indonesian people, who had long simmered under colonial rule. On the 17th of August, 1945, 2 days after the Japanese surrender, the Indonesian leaders Sukarno and Muhammad Hatta seized the moment to declare the independence of Indonesia. This bold act ignited a nationwide revolution, a struggle for independence that would last 4 years and test the resilience of the Indonesian people. The years from 1945 to 1949 were marked by a blend of armed conflict, political upheavals, and international pressure. Various groups across the archipelago joined the struggle for independence, their shared cause uniting them against the returning Dutch colonial powers. The Dutch, unwilling to relinquish their profitable colony, launched a series of military operations to regain control. The first Dutch military aggression, termed Operation Product, occurred in 1947. Despite facing a more equipped and organized Dutch military, the Indonesian forces, fueled by their desire for freedom, put up a determined resistance. This operation ended with the Renville Agreement, which recognized Dutch control over areas taken during the operation, but left the heartland of the Republic in Indonesian hands. The Dutch, however, were not satisfied. In December of 1948, they launched a second military aggression, Operation Crow. This operation aimed to capture the Republican leadership and finally crush the revolution. However, the spirit of the Indonesian people proved unbreakable. International pressure also began to mount against the Dutch. The United Nations Security Council, influenced by the growing anti-colonial sentiment worldwide, called for a ceasefire and negotiations. The Dutch finally relented. On the 27th of December, 1949, after 4 years of struggle, they recognized the sovereignty of the Republic of the United States of Indonesia, marking the end of Dutch colonial rule, except for New Guinea. The Indonesian national revolution was an epic struggle for independence, a testament to the courage and resilience of a people determined to shape their own destiny. It was a period that saw the birth of a nation, the forging of a shared identity, and the end of colonial rule. It was, in every sense, the price of freedom.